This is day 5 of 365, and today I wanted to kind of share a little bit of the story of my first encounter with publishing. So, back in 2010, I started writing a book called 72 Hours. I was only a few years out of the Navy, and so I decided I wanted to write a noir novel about two sailors who were going looking for a missing girl. And yes, it was very, very much a self-insert, but to the point that the lead character's name is Derek as opposed to Dietrich. And I finished the book, and I started trying to think of what I wanted to do with it, how I wanted to pitch. I went and got the old, like, huge, thick copy of the publisher's marketplace. That's what you used to do. They didn't have the huge website at that point, so you literally went and got this huge copy of Publisher's Marketplace, and you went through and looked up what every agent was looking for. So I started doing that, and about a month after that, a friend of mine told me about a conference called Killer Nashville. It's this mystery writers conference here in the city of Nashville, and one of the things they do is they have agents come up and you can pitch to them directly. So she, as a birthday gift, got me a pass to this and booked me for a session pitching to all these different agents. And the funny thing was, I went in there with no real idea of what I was supposed to be doing, like how you're supposed to pitch to an agent. I didn't even really have a query letter ready. I just walked in. I went into the first one. The gentleman was very nice, said no thank you. Then I went into the second one, and she liked my pitch, and she asked that I send me her manuscript, the manuscript. So I sent her the manuscript, waited about 2 weeks, and she reached back out to me and said that she was interested in representing me. I signed the contract. She started shopping the manuscript around. We did a little work on it, got it polished up a bit, and then she started shopping it around. And about 2.5 months later, she let me know that she had an offer. And we were in the middle of negotiating that offer. And this was 2011, and it was when the publishing industry was just getting hammered by the recession. And first, the publisher reached out and let her know that they were having to cancel all pending contracts because they were filing Chapter 11. So she reached out to me, she let me know that news, and assured me, you know what, we're going to keep looking, we're going to keep shopping this round. And then 2 months later, she emailed all of her, actually, she messaged all of her clients on Facebook Marketplace and let us all know that she was quitting and all of our books were reverting back to us. And I did not react particularly well. You know, I think that the proper thing to do would have been to recognize that if I'd managed to get one agent interested in it, there was a good chance I could find another agency that would be interested in it. And that I should have just started back from scratch and started pitching again. But I didn't do that. Instead, I literally got a friend from school to slap together a cover for me, and I self-published it. So in 2011, there were a lot fewer resources and tools than there are right now. 72 Hours came out exclusively through Amazon. Amazon had just started doing KDP, and I threw it up there. I didn't get it edited. I didn't really get it proofread. I read through it like 3 or 4 times and tried to catch as many errors as I could. And then I just put it out there. And that was it. I didn't do any real work to market it. I did one book signing at a small bookstore in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Nobody showed up except my family. I think my nephews bullied some poor woman who was trying to get a cookbook into buying a copy of my book. They were very cute at the time, like 4 and 6. But I sold very few copies, and that, to me, was proof enough that indie publishing didn't work. Now, of course, now I look back at that and realize that indie publishing works fine. The problem is, I just failed to do any of the individual steps needed, about half the steps needed to actually see a book at least begin to find an audience. 72 Hours is a book I'm very proud of, and I also have a huge amount of regrets over. 72 Hours is a rough story. It has elements that I like. It also has elements that are very amateurish. They are very simplistic, and there are a lot of ways that I wish I could go back and redo that story in a way that works better. And that's something I still may do. Like, that's on my bucket list, is to just kind of look at 72 Hours and rewrite it with everything that I've learned between now and then. But it was hugely demoralizing for me. I quit writing. I tried to write a sequel, and I would get about 4 or 5 chapters in and then just flounder. I tried a project where I wanted to write a short story every week for a year. I got 6 weeks in and then floundered. I tried to write several other books, including a few that I actually think were pretty good ideas, but nothing was clicking for me. For 10 years, nothing was clicking for me. And it wasn't until the pandemic, it wasn't until I decided to try something completely out of the ordinary. And really, it wasn't until I stopped putting so much pressure on myself that I felt that I could come back and do this again. That was a really hard lesson to learn. And part of what motivates me as I continue down this journey of publishing, I wrote Resonant, and Resonant's going to end up being Resonant and Desolation, and then I wrote The Mire, and then I wrote Frostbite, and then I wrote Extraction. The reason that I've kept going in a large part is because I have this genuine fear that I'm going to get stuck again, that I'm going to enter that period of writer's block where I just am not able to produce anything that I'm proud of. And I also know, though, that the writer I am now is a completely different person than the one I was when I published 72 Hours. So 72 Hours is this fascinating thing for me because on the surface, the way it played out is every author's dream come true. It was, you pitch to your second agent, they accept you. They pitch to two or three publishers, and one of them picks you up. And in another universe, without the recession, things could be very different. But one of the things that I wonder, and I still wonder this to this day, is whether or not that 10-year gap would have been any different. Whether I would have published 72 Hours to whatever the results of those sales would have been, and whether I still would have gotten stuck, and how disastrous that would have been if I'd been signed by a publisher. Anyway, that's going to be my entry today. It's just a little short look at something that has had a huge impact on me. But with that, I'll go ahead and wish you all a good evening. It's late here in Nashville when I'm doing this, so I will see you all tomorrow.